Sexuality, a very human characteristic that each and every one of us encompasses. You, me, and us, we all have it to some extent and to some degree. However, its concepted notions of sexuality sometimes clash with those of our tradition, culture, religion, and other social values that we deeply uphold and imbue into our daily living. In this modern era, where there is a juxtaposition of what is right and what is wrong, what is acceptable and what is not, bounded with the chains of our social values and social conventions, the essence and the shape and the truth of sexual identity and sexuality can sometimes be twisted and bended into something that is confined to, something that it is not meant to be. And this is all due to the formation of sexual taboos in order to at least repress some of those values that fight or that at least disagree in contempt with some of our culture and traditions.
In this modern era, it casts a shadow towards shame, repression, and stigma. Taboos fuels this discrimination against marginalized groups, making it difficult for them to access healthcare and create more problems such as STIs and unintended pregnancies. This is why it is important for us to empower sexuality as an important part of our society, not mere freedom, but also a stepping stone towards a future where there is acceptance and employs open communication towards a future where you won't have to be judged and there is acceptance regardless of who you are or who you want to be with.
And now that we've stated our position regarding this grave topic, we will now move on to our first argument. Number 1. Sexuality is an innate human characteristic. When we say innate, it means that it is imbued within all of us. When we see reports coming from the UN Human Rights Watch Commission, we often see that even countries who have death penalty for those people who identify as LGBTQIA or who stray away from their perceived standard or notion of what their own sexuality is or what the confinement or what the appropriate sexuality should be, there are still many people who identify as gay, lesbian, trans, things like that. There are still many people there even when facing or even with the fact that they are literally facing death, if ever it is known. It has been shown through many research conducted by the NCBI that there has been a biological marker associated with sexuality. UNESCO also confirms that by saying that sexuality is an integral part of who we are as humans. It's not only based on our social aspects, but also in our biological aspects and even down to our physiological aspects. For our second argument, imposing sexual taboos and cultural, religious, and dogmatic restrictions on sexuality and sexual identity are one of the main causes, or at least one of the propagating causes for poverty, lack of education, childhood pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, prostitution, suicide rates, abortion rates, and even as far as to an increase in child mortality, infant mortality, and maternal mortality. If we take a look at sub-Saharan Africa, their life expectancy is significantly lower than what it is compared to other regions in Africa even. South Africa, both South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique, have all faced massive decrease in their life expectancy, all because of HIV/AIDS. Not only that, but in that region, it is also very rampant to see a very high mortality rate within children and infants. That prompted women to make more children or to at least have a bigger set of family because they did not expect their children to survive. This is what lack of education or lack of sexual education does, and this is even one of the main reflective results of sexual imposed taboos within a community or even within a region. This has been recorded by the United Nations and even by the World Health Organization.
Taboos have negative impact in human rights and social justice. Study shows that they harms marginalized groups such as LGBTQ by affecting their well-being and their healthcare. To address this, we need a concrete effort to change the stigma and promote comprehensive sex education to advocate the rights of everyone regardless of sexual orientation or identity. Wrapping up, it is clear why we must change how society depicts sexuality. It is not just about feeling good, but this is also about the fairness and making sure that each other's rights are respected. With this, we can talk about this openly. We can teach each other the rightful information, especially to the young ones. And we can support LGBTQ rights. Together, we can break the shackles of taboos and promote understanding towards a future where there is acceptance, regardless of who you're attracted to or who you identify as.